In this episode, the Fig gets a complete inspection, a bunch of repairs, and a little more cleaning up. Let's go. In our last episode, we gave the Figgy a warm turbo garage welcome by performing a deep clean both inside and out. But a clean car won't take you very far down the road, so next on the agenda is a complete safety inspection to find and address any mechanical issues that need taken care of. While this is going on, we'll make sure the maintenance is up to date and do a little sprucing up while we're in there. So let's get to work. With the Figgy up in the air, we can now begin the safety inspection. I like to use a printed vehicle inspection checklist, which can be found online with a quick Google search. Checklists are great because it's easy to overlook something small that could become a big issue later on. A checklist like this helps me remember everything, and it's useful later on as a maintenance record too. Also, another set of eyes can be a good thing, and for this I have my secret weapon, and his name is Pap. I rarely have any help in the garage, and Pap is visiting from up north, so it was nice to have someone to keep me company, other than Torch the giant Lego man, of course. Oh no, not again. Torch, get out of the picture. Get out of the picture. Get out of here. No, oh my gosh. The first thing I'm looking for is rust damage, and thankfully the undercarriage of my Fig is very clean and in overall very good shape for its age. I do plan to undercoat this someday, but for now I'm just going to check everything out. Now let's grab some tools and begin some maintenance work while we're inspecting everything. First up is a routine oil change. This car had many years worth of oil change receipts included in the paperwork I found, so I feel pretty good about the condition of the engine and how it's been maintained. That said, I think this dude tightened the oil filter that was on it. I had to remove a little support brace and hang on the filter wrench just to get the thing off. Okay, while the oil is draining, let's grab a new filter. Not so fast. A big consideration in owning a car from a faraway land is parts availability. The funny thing is, large parts like fenders, bumpers, and headlights seem readily available. It's the small maintenance items that can be difficult, if not impossible to find. You can't exactly pick up the phone and call Japan, and my efforts to work through a couple popular online Nissan parts dealers in the US proved completely fruitless.
Duh, no, I don't want to help you. Duh, I don't care if you do have perfectly spendable money and valid Nissan part numbers. Duh.
So here's a giant benefit of owning the Nissan Figaro as a Japanese classic in the United States. The Figaro shop, which is located in England where the Figaro is extremely popular, carries just about everything you need to keep your Figaro running and looking great. You just pick up the phone, speak with a polite English gentleman, and about a week later, you've got a big pile of exact fit, OEM quality replacement parts for your beloved Fig. I'd never ordered anything from England before, but it was just as easy as ordering from a shop here in the States. So I picked up a variety of maintenance items and other goodies that will keep our Fig in tip-top shape. Okay, back to the oil change. We just grab a filter, prep it with some oil, and screw it on. We've got some other jobs to do under here, so we'll fill the engine with oil later on. Next up is the muffler hanger. This whole deal really looks worse than it is. The main problem here is that the muffler hanger and part of the outer muffler casing is rusted, causing the muffler to hang a bit low. I stuck a hose clamp around it as a temporary fix earlier, so let's fix it for good now. First, I used my pole jack to support the muffler and exhaust system. Then I removed the muffler hanger and cut off the rusted outer casing of the muffler. Since the upper portion of the hanger is in good shape, I'm going to make a new lower section with some strap steel. So here's the old rusted section of the muffler hanger, and here's the new section that I whipped up. As part of the brake and suspension check, it was time to remove the wheels. These tires looked pretty good from a distance, but once you got up close, the dry rot was obvious. Since new tires are needed, I decided to clean up the wheels a bit first. These things were filthy, but a Scotch-Brite pad and some simple green did the trick. After they dried, I used some of Summit Racing's general chassis enamel to brighten them up. A few days later, my tires arrived. Surprisingly enough, TireRack.com stocks these Yokohamas in the factory replacement size. They're made in Japan and have these kind of vague stickers on them. I mean, I'm used to seeing these things, which are loaded up with warnings and other craziness.
Warning, do not stand near tires. Warning, do not eat tires. Warning, tires are round and may roll away. Warning, do not use tires as an engine stand.
I've actually done that last one. While the wheels were drying, I found a little problem with the suspension. By little problem, I mean a gigantic problem. Oh yeah, that lower ball joint is shot. This is an example of a part that could easily sideline your rare JDM car, so it was great to know I could rely on the Figaro shop to stock a set of fair-priced, replacement lower control arms that already have new bushings and ball joints pre-installed. Perfect! Time to swap them out. The fit was excellent on both sides, and I'm sure these will make a huge difference in the handling and safety of our Fig. While that was going on, I got my new tires mounted and bolted them up. One little change I made was to add these long valve stems, as the usual short ones make it very difficult to check the tire pressure with the hubcaps on. So with the undercarriage, brakes, and suspension looking good, I moved on to the engine bay. I had a bunch of work to do under here, as I'd spent a few weeks on the Figaro Owners Club website researching and learning about the various maintenance items and potential problem areas with the Figaro's 1-liter turbo 4-cylinder engine. With a big pile of printed guides and walkthroughs, I began the all-important rocker arm inspection. This requires removing the valve cover, so let's get to it. Oh, check this out. I bet this is the world's shortest charge pipe. It's just a tiny little thing that goes whoop from there to there. I always like to mark the orientation of parts like this to make reassembly easier. Also, I kept track of the hardware using an old piece of cardboard. Next, I removed the throttle position sensor plug. When you're working on cars around this age, you'll find these metal clips on various engine connectors. They're very important, so carefully remove them and reinstall them later on to ensure a good connection. I also like to put a small piece of brightly colored tape on any wire or hose I remove. This helps me remember to reconnect everything during reassembly. Next, I marked the plug wire order and removed those. With all the various doodads out of the way, the valve cover is finally freed from its home. Now we have full access to our rocker arm assembly. The potential problem here is that over time the rocker arm studs can quietly come loose, which then creates a WWF-style Hell in the Cell type scenario inside your valve cover. Really bad. Following the excellent resources I found on the Figaro Owners Club site, I checked each bolt to make sure they were torqued properly. I'll definitely keep an eye on these over time. Just gently clamp things out of the way here. Whoop, like that. There you go. While the valve cover was off, it was a perfect time to do a little brightening up under here. I started by removing both the exhaust manifold and turbo heat shields. Okay, oh, that wasn't too bad. There we go. Hey, now we get a great view of our Figgy's fun-sized turbo. Oh, it's so cute.
My hand for reference.
Come on, buddy. Next, I removed the alternator, which really stood out as a dingy-looking thing under the Fig's hood, but we'll fix that. So here are a handful of items that are all big focal points under the bonnet. When they're dirty, they make the whole engine bay look bad. Using a variety of cleaners and brushes, I got to work cleaning the heat shields and hardware. Speaking of hardware, these old rusty-looking bolts definitely won't cut it. So after a good cleaning, we'll pop them in some cardboard for painting later on. Next up was the valve cover. Usually painting or powder coating is necessary, but the Fig's was in great shape, so a little sprucing up would do the trick. I started by protecting the Cool Engine ID sticker and then used some scrub bubs and a toothbrush to clean it up. Yes. While that was drying, I got to work painting the other engine parts. To get the proper aluminum look on these heat shields, I used VHT's flame-proof spray paint. To keep everything matchy-matchy, I also used this paint to brighten up the alternator. Oh, that's a nice finish. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's real nice out here too.
Mm-hmm. Perfect day for it. Now I'm going to just go easy on this. Fresh coat. While those parts were drying, the next job on our list was to inspect all of our hoses, belts, and vacuum lines. The first one I checked was the fuel pressure regulator line, and it was really cracked. Vacuum lines like this are important in any vehicle, but turbocharged cars are especially sensitive to potential vacuum and boost leaks like these. Small, difficult-to-trace leaks can add up and cause big drivability and performance issues. In the Fig's case, the idle was low and rough, indicating a possible vacuum leak like this. To fix this old cracked line, I cut a length of hose that matched and slid it in place. Buying a big spool of hose like this may seem excessive at first, but over the years you'll find that it makes much more sense than running to the parts store and paying through the nose every time you need a foot or three. The next one on the inspection list is the wastegate signal line. This is important because it regulates how much boost that the turbo makes. After pulling the line off, it was mushroomed on both ends and had tons of small cracks throughout. As I continued my inspection, I just kept replacing the hoses as I found problems. Sometimes a faulty hose can look good, but once you pull it off its fitting, the ends can be cracked and leaking like this one. Here's another sneaky, leaky vacuum line. It's likely the one most responsible for our low, rough idle. I didn't have anything on hand like this, so I went to my local parts store where they kindly helped me find something that matched. It just needed a little trim and voila. Well, I thought that was my main idle causing problem until I found this. Here is a big yet common problem with older fuel-injected cars. These intake hoses often split over time due to age and the engines flopping around. This causes air to be sucked in downstream of the airflow sensor, which confuses the engine computer and creates drivability problems. I fixed it using some of this Loctite Go-To repair wrap. This stuff works great. It's tough, self-fusing, and can be used in all sorts of harsh environments. I also went ahead and replaced the dirty stock air filter with this new replacement one. Much better. After checking every line and hose under the hood and making repairs, it was time for a little tune-up. Once again, the Figaro shop saved the day as they keep plenty of these items on hand to keep your car running great. I started by removing the distributor cap and rotor. Here's a look at the cap that was on our car. Check out the buildup on each contact. Now compare that to our new part, which will do a much better job at delivering spark to our engine. The rotor was in similar condition. Look at the difference in old versus new. Small fixes like this can have a dramatic difference in how any car performs. Since the plug wires passed the visual inspection and tested out well using our multimeter, I'm reusing those. There we go. Next up is the fuel filter, which is an easy swap. Next, I bolted in a set of fresh NGK spark plugs and torqued them to spec. With that done, let's see how our cleaned and painted engine parts turned out. Nice! Let's bolt them on. That made a huge difference under here. After topping off the oil, I marked the proper timing mark on the timing belt cover and set the ignition timing according to the online instructions. So even though I didn't show you every step, at this point I'd gone through the entire inspection checklist and fixed all the issues that I found. The Fig's low idle was now fixed, and the engine revved faster and ran smoother than before. We can also rest assured that the Figaro is safe to drive and will perform well on the variety of roads that we have here in Tennessee. Thank you for watching, and thank you to the Nissan Figaro Owners Club for their help and excellent resources online. Be sure to check out my Facebook page for updates and other fun stuff too. In the next installment, we'll enjoy the results of our hard work and take the Figaro out and about. Oh, and I may sprinkle on a couple mods here and there. You know, just for fun. So with that said, thanks again folks. We'll see you next time.